Despite the Philippines winning the arbitral ruling, China remains unfazed. It continues to build structures and military bases in the South China Sea, bypassing not only the Philippines but also other claimants in the disputed waters. Retired Justice Antonio Carpio says China refuses to respect the status quo and instead has been aggressively intimidating other claimant states. Carpio believes the smaller countries can do something. The 5 claimants can put their informal understanding into black and white by signing a convention. In this convention, they should agree that disputes shall be settled peacefully through negotiations and special agreements of parties or through arbitration in accordance with international law.
This will isolate China as the only disputant state resorting to gray zone tactics and refusing to maintain the status quo.
Carpio says they should also declare the entire Spratlys an international marine protected area because of its importance as a spawning ground for fish in the disputed waters. Without the Spratlys, the fish stock in the South China Sea will collapse. This means that no military facilities should be in the area.
The existing military facilities can be converted into marine research or tourism facilities. The convention can be opened for accession by other states. China will be the #1 beneficiary of such a convention because China now takes more than 50% of the annual fish catch in the South China Sea.
Carpio also suggests conducting joint patrols beyond the territorial seas in the Spratlys.
These joint patrols, an exercise of freedom of navigation, will enforce the arbitral ruling by state practice. All these multilateral undertakings will promote peace, security, and stability in the South China Sea.
In the upcoming ASEAN summit, the member countries are expected to talk about the code of conduct in the disputed waters. Carpio said if signed, it should not legitimize illegal claims and activities under the international law.
The code should not be a vehicle to allow China to recover what it had already lost under the arbitral ruling in the South China arbitration at The Hague.
But Carpio questioned China's previous declaration that it intends to sign the Code of Conduct in 2022. He says for China to control the South China Sea for military and economic purposes, it must put up air and naval base.
China is not sure if the next president of the Philippines will adopt the same policy. So China will have to make its move before the end of President Duterte's term in June 2022.
It would appear throughout that China was adopting a delaying strategy in moving the COC forward in order to give itself time to complete its unlawful expansion and militarization strategy in the South China Sea.
Carpio says he also supports former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario to take the fight to the United Nations. He is confident the Philippines will get the majority if it sponsors a resolution asking China to comply with the arbitral ruling. Trisha Terada, CNN Philippines.